Welcome back to Lore with Ludus Infinium, Horus Rising, Part 2, Section 3. We take a step back from our last episode, back onto the Vengeful Spirit with Garviel Loken, who is looking for Cinderman, who has not been seen for a while. Since the Whisperheads, actually. And after he finds him, reading a bunch of different books, including poetry and other histories, he asks, are you okay? To which Cinderman responds, I've healed in body, but I'm still a little fucked in the head. I paraphrased a little bit. But it's obvious that he's still having a hard time coping with what he saw. But it's also showing that he's not really telling the truth either, because he hasn't fully healed in body. And Loken is a bit worried about this. He's worried because Cinderman is one of his friends, and he doesn't like to see him trouble like this. So he's trying to get to the root cause of it, and he can also tell at this point Cinderman really does not want to talk about the Whisperheads and seeing the things that he saw, like in a Stardust turning into a demon. That might put a few people off from talking for a while. So, Garviel Loken has a conversation with Cinderman about how Horus has kept him close, basically keep an eye on him. And Cinderman says what that's really was. He's keeping you close to make sure you're okay, but he's giving you another chance to build your confidence and your honor back up. And eventually, towards the end of the conversation, Loken asks to borrow one of the books, and he has some poetry. And Cinderman says, this isn't really you. How about this one? He gives him the Chronicles of Ursh, which we will touch on in a part, if not later on in this one. But he says, basically, leave the poetry to me. And Loki goes, good idea. Hey, I have some poetry right here. Would you be interested in it? The poetry he gets from Ignace Carcassian. To which Cinderman says, yes. I heard from a little bird that you have vouched for him, and that it was done as a favor to Mercedes Allerton. And Loken comes back at him like, well, if you've been cooped up in here keeping yourself, how do you know? It's like, the juniors keep me informed. I always keep my ear to the ground. It's my job to know everyone's business. I mean, yeah, that one. So there's a couple of funny moments in this conversation, but you can really see the connection these two have. They really care. They really care about one another, in the sense that Loken cares that obviously his friend Cinderman is not well, and Cinderman is giving him a book which will be important in the future, and we'll all find out why. So after his talk with Cinderman, Garviel Loken goes to clean out all of the lockers of the slain Astartes. When he gets to Jabal's, he discovers a silver medal of a wolf's head imprinted on a moon. And Nero Vipus is with him, and he asks him, what is this? Can't say. Then guess. And then he starts playing around with where his hand is, or his stump is healing up, where they had to reattach his hand. Nero. It could be a lodge medal. Could be? I really can't say. This is a good bit of foreshadowing for later on. But it also shows that Loken has a massive distrust for the warrior lodges because they operate in secret. He cannot abide by anything that does operate in secret. So this is a really cool part because it shows that. It shows that there were people that were attracted to the warrior lodges, but there were some that just saw them as abhorrent. So the day after Loken finds the lodge metal, poof, up and disappears. And at the same time, for a few days, Mercedes Allerton had come to Loken ever since he came back from the Whisperheads to talk to him about vouching for Ignace Carcassi. Like, yeah, he's a drunk idiot, but he's not a bad drunk. Well, yeah, he is bad, but he didn't deserve to get beaten, and he doesn't deserve to go back to Earth. So this one sticks out to me because it shows a kind of solidarity between the Remembrancers, but it also shows that Loken is trying to distract himself from what happened. He's trying to find every distraction that he can. And this is really fascinating to me for one reason, and, well, for multiple reasons, but one major reason. This reminds me so much of PTSD. I have a family member who has PTSD, and there are times when this sounds like something they would do. They would just try to find a distraction so they don't have to think about it, so they don't have to potentially relive it. I'm not entirely sure that's the case or not, whether they actually relive it in their head or not. But the desire for distraction is very obviously there. So as we continue on, we get to see the conversation between Garviel Loken and Ignace Carcassi. And starting off, he says, the head Remembrancers want you gone. They say you give them a bad name. Sir, I could give anyone a bad name just by being close to them. This makes Garviel Loken smile a bit. This makes him start to like Carcassi. So he tells him, you have friends who came to me, and I found out that I can vouch for you and basically keep you from going to Terra. But you've got to tell me you want it. Oh, I do want it. I do. And I didn't know that I had friends. And so Loken gives him 3 conditions. The first one is to clean up his habits. Basically, no more getting drunk the way he did. The second one, all writings, be they for publication or just idle thoughts, go to Loken. And the second one starts off as a question. He asks him, what did he say to make Imperial Army soldiers beat him to near death? And this makes Carcassi nervous. He's like, well, I said the Imperium would not endure. I said that we would spend the rest of our civilization fighting just to survive. And Garviel Loken says, not necessarily in the same wording, but a warrior of the Imperial Fist Legion told me the same thing. And they aren't sending him home. Oh wait, yeah, they are. Not for the same reason, but they are. This is something that I've kind of hit on every time that I see it. I'm going to do it again. I like it that it shows that Astartes have a sense of humor. But this brings about his third condition of Carcassi. No matter how cruel, no matter how controversial, always tell the truth. He agrees to it because he hates people who lie. He hates people who intentionally blur the truth. So this is, like I said, the part I really like about the conversation itself is actually pretty well written and has funny parts in it. But I like the way it also shows how Loken talks to Carcassy. But it also shows that Loken does have a sense of humor. It's just one of those little things that really matter more than the big things to me. So after his talk with Cinderman, because we are going to jump around a lot this part, yay, he heads to the area that's been set aside for the Remembrancers. And Loken does not like going to this area. It's outside his realms of belief. It's not what should be on a warship. There's music, there's parties, there's a lot going on that he feels shouldn't be going on. So he doesn't really like it. And he goes there to meet Carcassy, who gives him his latest writings. And he gives him a gift from Euphrates Keeler. I hate saying it that way, because it's spelled that way, but it sounds like Keeler. It sounds like K-I-L-A, not K-E-E-L-E-R. Blur. Anyway, so he turns on the data slate, and it's the picture of him taking his oath of moment before Targast and Ceteray. I think I actually still got it wrong. And the Mornival. And he really appreciates it. And this is when Carcassy informs him that, no one really sees Keeler all that often. I'm gonna just call you Freddy. No one sees Euphrates all that often. And that she's kind of became reclusive. To which Loken says, just take care of her. And then we go forward in time a little bit more to a point where he's training his new recruits, and Axeman comes up to him and says, I have something I want to talk to you about in private, and shows him a lodge medal. And so they go to his arming chamber, and Axeman says, look, I know you hate everything to do with the lodge. I know. But hear me out, because it's me asking you. You're one of my Mornival brothers. Tonight there's going to be a meeting. Will you come with me? After a little bit of convincing and coaxing, Loken agrees. It's because it is you asking me, I will. And that is where this part leaves off. I hope you have all enjoyed, and I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye!